every single company will need a chief data protection officer. So that's maybe a new job to think about. And maybe Microsoft will need a data protection officer in a few to learn more about it, and especially cloud, what it means in terms of privacy and inclusion. Please join me in welcoming Marc MOSSE, Senior Director, EU Government Affairs for Microsoft. I think you do have a mic.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Montpellier. Thank you to invite me. So we live in an amazing time when technology is changing our lives at breathtaking speed. Advances in healthcare, education, communication, and productivity have increased life expectancy around the globe and help fit hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. For many, the ability to connect to people and the information we are looking for instantly from any location is so commonplace that we already take it for granted. And now, with cloud computing, we've arrived at the beginning of an era of more profound transformation. A new generation of technology innovation is delivering capabilities that promise new ways to expand economic opportunity and address some of humanity's most pressing problems. But, because there is a but, the cloud is also creating disruption in other ways as well. People question the privacy for their data, the safety of their community, the sustainability of their job, and the prospect of their children. There are deep concerns about whether and how this technology can be used to benefit everyone rather than just the fortunate few. And these days, we are seeing how these questions are not theoretical, how these questions can impact the political landscape. Clearly, we have reached a critical crossroad where we must rethink how people interact, how companies conduct business, how governments protect public safety, manage economic growth, and deliver services. Yes, at Microsoft, we are fundamentally optimistic about the future, but we also recognize that the cloud must be used to drive societal and economic benefits. What is needed is a balanced set of policy and technology solutions that will promote positive change and ensure that these benefits of the cloud computing are broadly shared. A trust cloud is, of course, about fundamental rights. We talk about privacy, security, public safety. This is the core of the trusted cloud. But it's not only this. We have the digital trust economy. It's beyond these elements. It's about an inclusive cloud. It's about a responsible cloud. In other words, if we want to create a cloud for global good, delivering social and economic benefits for all, we need to ensure that people trust in cloud as a whole. So I don't have the clicker, but...
Oh, but you will in a few. There you go.
Here we go. And just to elaborate on what I've said, I would like to start with some picture. It could have been the Place de la Comédie à Montpellier, or Place de la Concorde in Paris, but this one is the New York City, the Flatiron Building, the beginning of last 20th century. If you look at this picture and then at this one, you can see almost the same picture, except a few differences. 2 decades later, this is just 2 decades later, with the second picture, what you see is cars that fill the streets and line the curb. In between lies a period of transformation. First, you had the horses, now you have the cars. At the beginning of the 20th century, it took more than 100,000 horses to keep New York moving. Thousands of people worked to drive them, fed them, and clean up the mess they left behind. Within a quarter century, entire industry built on horses had all but disappeared. And a society that moved at the speed of cars rather than the trot of horses struggled to create new laws and build new infrastructure as a wave of innovation launched a new economy. An economy that was more productive, more dynamic, and that created millions of new good-paying jobs. And this is all about the fourth industrial revolution. The history of human progress is marked by a small handful of industrial revolutions like this, each fueled by a key invention. The first, you know this, powered by the steam engine. The second was built on the internal combustion engine and electronic power plants. The third was made possible by the microprocessor. Today, we stand at the beginning of a new era of technology-driven transformation and change. Change so profound that it could be the dawn for the fourth industrial revolution. And this is where we need to build this trust on the future. And this future will be powered by the cloud. If you look at the cloud, it's something that we can bring in Europe as well. It's not about protectionism. We had a few words on protectionism, sovereignty. If you look at what Microsoft is doing in Europe, we have data center in Ireland, Netherlands, UK, Germany, and we have announced last month that we will launch data center in France as well, 2 data center in France. So it's not only location of data center, it's how we build the condition for this trust. And because I don't want to go over the time, I will go very quickly to, it was just an example. This is interesting because here you have, if you take Uber or BlaBlaCar, they are transportation company, they don't have any car. They don't own any car. If you take Airbnb, they are one of the most important companies to lodge public, but they don't have any room on their own. So this disruption is really key. And this is why the trust is about privacy, but also inclusion and responsibility from the industry. If we go to the privacy and security part, I would love to just pause on a few elements, because already Isabelle Falpirotin and Mr. Sekakis have said a lot. I don't want to repeat what has been said, but I would love to give you one example. On one case, we have been opposed to the US government in the last years because we were asked to give access to data from one of our customers which data were located in Ireland. And we said no. We went to court, and last July 14, the Second Circuit Court of New York decided on our side, and we won the case. And the court has made a very important decision, because what they have said in this decision that you can access on the web, this is the advantage of the cloud as well, they said 2 very important things. First, you cannot ask data stored outside of the US without respecting the rule of law. You can, if you need to drive your investigation, you can ask to access this data, but you need to respect the sovereignty of the state where the data are located. You need to respect privacy, and you need to work through the rule of law. It's a very important decision. But we cannot build trust in cloud only with one actor playing against the US government or maybe one day the French government. No, you need harmonization. And it has been part of the discussion. We need an international harmonization. First in Europe, and then building bridge with the US. This is why the privacy shield is so important. We know that there is some question around. We know that some people are developing some criticism about the privacy shield. But what I consider, what I think is that Europe and the US share most of the same values about democracy. And these values are timeless. We could have some difference in the way we apply this value through regulation, but we have common ground. And what has been done with the GDPR, what has been done with the Privacy Shield, is to build this bridge between the US and Europe. And we need to ensure that this bridge will be working well and will be protected. This is a very important dimension. The second one on security, privacy, public safety is that, of course, we understand that government should sometimes access to data because there is a need to fight against terrorism or prevent the crime. The question is how we ensure that this access to data is done in a way that respects the rule of law and the fundamental rights. And this is why I think Europe, at least, should start to work on a harmonization for the lawful access data. We have in the Treaty of Lisbon the mutual recognition for judicial cooperation. And I think that this is something that government should work through to establish a framework that ensures privacy is well respected and at the same time government can protect citizens from the crime and from the terrorism. This is really important, and this is why, as Nicolas Sekakis, I fully agree with the need to protect encryption. Because if you undermine encryption, you undermine the security of the citizen, but more broadly, you undermine the trust in the cloud. This is about trusted cloud. But as I mentioned at the beginning of my speech, I think that if we want to really succeed in having a digital trust economy, we absolutely need to ensure that the cloud is inclusive. And I would love to give you one quick look on the studies that have been done by the Georgetown University this year. It's very interesting because maybe you will make some link with the last days. This study showed that a quarter century of the US economic growth under Democrats and Republicans alike has added 35 million net new jobs. But the number of jobs held by Americans with only a high school diploma or less has fallen by 7.3 million. The disparity is striking. The country, the US, has experienced a doubling job of Americans with a 4-year college degree, while the number of jobs for those with a high school diploma or less has fallen by 13%. We need to keep that in mind. We need to ensure that nobody is left behind, because if not, it will be the success for a few, but not for all. And no later than yesterday in Montpellier, we have organized an event with young women from underserved areas, 100 from these women with Dell, one of our partners, and we have organized a coding session to not make them developer already, but just to show them that this technology could be for them a path to get a job and to be part of this fourth industrial revolution. So this is why, if we want to be successful to create this trust on the digital economy, we absolutely need to work on education and skills. Education through the digital literacy, but also for the workers to adapt to the new jobs that are coming. Remember the picture from the Flatiron building. We need to ensure that the ongoing education will be a key dimension of policies in the world. This is, for me, something really important. So, not to go over the time, I will conclude with a last picture. I'm still on the time.
Almost.
Almost. And you have seen all the slides I didn't show you, but I will finish with this one. Because, again, This is still the Flatiron building, but a little bit later on, not only because of the color. Many of the same buildings are still there, but there is more people and a lot of more traffic. What I wonder is that in 20 years from now, it will be maybe the same number of cars, but we will see one difference. There will be these cars without driver. This will be a very big difference. And it will mean that the economy will have changed. It will mean that to succeed in this new world, we will have been able to create the trust for the data that are used for connected car, and we have built an inclusive cloud that allows everyone to find a job. And if we work on this, government, industry, citizen, maybe we'll be in a position to create this trust. And I would say it's a very French reference, but I say there is no love, but only proof of love. There is no trust, only proof of trust. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marc MOSSE.